So Yamaha said to me, Dan, would you like the keys to a brand new 2025 Yamaha Tracer 7 GT for 4 months? I mean, I'm not going to say no, am I? So if you're interested in a really comprehensive video review of this brand new Tracer 7 GT, don't forget to click that subscribe button, because we've got lots to do. Let's go. I can't believe I did that. Yeah, so here she is, the Tracer 7 GT for 2025. Lots of changes, and not just aesthetic, they have done quite a bit. Something that is the same, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing depends on you. This is the same CP2 engine as in the previous version, however now it's Euro 5 Plus compliant. Still got 73 horsepower, still got 68 Nm of torque, but it is a lively little thing. Centre stand, as standard on this GT model, we've got heated grips, cruise control now, all the standard, 30 litre new side cases. I believe these are the same as are on the Tracer 9 GT, and we've got a new seat height, 845mm. It's a two-piece seat this year round, so that means you can actually change the seat height of the rider seat, 645 or 860, so it is a lot taller. So let's throw our leg over it and I can show you how that feels. I'm on the balls of my feet where I could definitely plant them firmly on the ground on the previous generation. 50mm wider bars, they are also 30mm higher. In essence, the bars are wider, but the bike is no wider. We have the all-new dash, as featured first on their MT-09, and it's on all their new bikes. Cruise control, lovely little menu system, street cross navigation by Garmin, themes. Right, but let's just get going. Now, I picked this bike up yesterday. It had 0 miles on it, so this is literally brand spanking new. It never turned a wheel before I jumped on it. We've got the new indicators, which I am actually getting used to now. I know I complained about them before, but they're not too bad. Now, as the bike is brand new, it is running in, so I am having to do a run-in for the first 600 miles. So we'll have to be a little bit careful, but we do still want to have a little bit of fun. So yeah, Tracer 7 GT for 2025. Loads of changes. Got a new screen as well on this GT model. It's adjustable. Hopefully we can do that one-handed. No, we can't. There we go. Just needed a little bit of persuading because it's so new. Now hopefully that will kill some of the noise for you guys, and it's a bit quieter, because on the previous gen it was a lot of wind noise. Right, so let's go through some of the changes. Obviously the bike looks very different. It's got a whole new face and the bike was actually designed by a team over in Turin in Italy. It's an Italian stallion. How the heck is a bus come out of there? That's like a tiny little road. Yeah, so the bike is actually designed in Europe, built in Europe, with some input from Japan, but it's mostly a European bike. Hence why I think it's really pretty, because it's an Italian. Who doesn't love a cheeky Italian? So let's talk about the biggest changes, which are the new KYB upside down forks up front. Those are still offering 130mm travel, and I think it's rebound adjustment, 18 clicks of rebound adjustment up front. On the GT model they are gold, and on the standard they are black, I think, but they are the same shocks. It's just on the GT you get fancy gold paint or colouring. At the rear we've got a KYB monoshock, again adjustable for preload, and on this GT model you've got a remote preload adjuster, so that it's just nice and easy when you take a pillion and some luggage, because let's be honest, it's a GT bike, you might want to take a pillion and some luggage, and that's nice and easy. You don't have to get your C-spanner out, which was a bit of a faff on the previous gen. When I took Sophie on the back, we had to kind of, not that she's heavy, she's only like 50 kilos, but it still helps, you know, to add a little bit of preload on the rear. On the derriere, they've made some changes to the gearing, so from first to third I think they've increased the dog gears, and they've just made the whole gear change experience smoother. And I definitely can notice that. Bear in mind, I gave back the previous generation Tracer 7 GT yesterday, so I have been riding that for quite a while, quite a few months, and throwing a leg straight over this, I did feel the differences straight away. Other changes, obviously we've got new radial brakes. Nice Africa Twin. Yeah, new radial brakes up front, and those, I think they bite down onto 3 100mm disc. You know, I forget actually what the full technical specs are, but it doesn't really matter too much. You know, if you want to go over the minutiae of all the tech specs, you can do on the website. But it's got new radial Advix brakes up front, and they are very crisp. I didn't mind the previous brakes, but these are definitely better. And because you've got the upside down forks, there's just a bit of a more, I don't know what the word is, it's just a bit more confident over the front end, a bit more rigid, a bit more planted. The previous gen was a little bit soft in terms of the suspension. I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anybody. We've also got a bigger fuel tank this year, an extra litre, so it's 18 litres. And Yamaha tells me that's, they estimate around about 340 kilometres. Obviously take that with a grain of salt. I think that's if you're riding really, really slowly. But when I did ride this at the press launch in Portugal for about half a day, but I kind of wanted to wait until I got one in the UK so that I could do a bit more in-depth stuff about the bike, because I think this new GT is, personally speaking, I think this is the bike to go for. If you're looking for a Tracer 7, this one is the one I would go for. Obviously the seating position has changed because it's a lot higher. Like I said, 845mm standard on the GT. I think it's 830 on the standard new Tracer 9, but it is adjustable between 845 and 860. You've got the separate pillion seat, and one thing that I really appreciate is the seat on this bike is absolutely lovely. So the reason the GT seat is a lot higher is because it's got a lot more gel padding, and we rode for about 3 or 4 hours at the launch in Portugal, and not once did I have any issues with my bottom, whereas usually in a full day's ride I do feel it. I've got a sensitive body, you know. The engine is exactly the same, and because the bike's got a longer swing arm now, I would say it feels slightly less flighty. Like the previous gen, you could easily like hoik a front wheel if you're on the power quite hard, and I think that longer swing arm is going to make that a little bit more difficult. But the whole purpose of doing that is to make the bike feel bigger, not heavier. I mean, it is heavier, it's 10 kilos heavier than the previous gen, but more stable at speed. And that's the only thing I would say about the previous gen, is it did feel a bit flighty at times. Very much like its little sibling, the MT-07, which is based heavily on. And that's the same for this bike. It is still based on that new MT-07 platform, but they've really gone for stability and kind of just a grown-up Tracer 7, essentially. There's loads of bikes out today. And during the press briefing, Yamaha were saying, you know, oh nice, Mark II VW there, camper van, very lovely. They were saying how, you know, sometimes they do go for the weight saving as their key focus on a bike, but not with the Tracer 7 GT. They were going for keeping the weight down but increasing the stability of the bike. Also, this video is going to be a bit kind of all over the place, but it's not a very structured video. It's just me kind of riding to my favourite coffee stop, which is also an airport, so we'll see some planes. Anyway, 22% lighter clutch lever, so they say. I mean, I don't know how you measure 22% in terms of physical feel, but it does feel a lot lighter than the previous gen, which again, I will sort of labour on this point that I was riding that bike up until yesterday, and that is really, really light. And the front end feel from those brakes, even at low speed, is really quite something. You just feel like there's like a lot more bite. That's one thing I would say, is the prior gen brakes were not the most amazing. They did need a little bit of coercing. Not coercing, but you did have to kind of give it a good handful, whereas this one, it feels like, yeah, one finger is all you need. Fnar fnar. I think it looks absolutely brilliant. It looks really lovely. I do like these new handguards as well. They're a bit more complete. The other ones were just like there was none of this connecting bit here, and it was easy to break them. Ask me how I know, because I did drop the Tracer 7 unfortunately at a standstill, but I still dropped it and broke a bit of the handguard. I'm not saying you won't break this, but I think it would do better at protecting stuff like the clutch lever and everything else. I mean, they're not bark busters, but they do feel fairly solid. They've also gone for a more rigid chassis. I think they said something like 13% more rigid. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh yes, I can feel less flex in the chassis. I can't, right? I'm a normal rider. But I will say it just feels a bit more locked in. That's how I would explain it. More locked in, more eager to have a little bit of fun. And in Portugal, we really did push these bikes quite quickly. And not once did I feel like the bike fought me or, gave me any kind of cause for concern in terms of the handling. It's just an all-round fantastic. Can I say little bike? Because it's not really little, is it? 690cc isn't little, not by old standards, but by today's standards, this is considered a little bike. It's a bit crazy how things have changed. I do have to be careful, I'm running it in. I think also, going off on a tangent slightly, that's why people don't understand when bikes overtake all the time. Because we like a clear view. Like, there is nothing better for safety than having a clear view in front of you. Obviously, don't then overtake like an absolute buffoon and put your life at risk. But at the same time, if you're wondering why bikers overtake consistently, it's because we like to have a clear view. It's just safer for us. If you've got a big truck in front of you, it's basically a big blank screen and you can't see anything. Yes, you should keep your distance, but it's just much better to have a clearer view. Anyway, that's that over with. Thanks, Instructor Dan. Back to the Tracer 7 GT. Yeah, I think it looks great. What do you think? Are you interested in the Tracer 7 GT or the standard Tracer? This is the Tech Black colour. I actually prefer the Icon Performance, the blue, and I think that looks really nice. But yeah, let me know if you're interested in this bike. I think it's around about £10,100. Or thereabouts, at least here in the UK. I don't know what it is in your country, but I'm sure you can go and Google it. What else can I tell you? So let's talk about some electronics. So we've got an all-new suite of electronics, which includes cruise control as standard, full screen map navigation. You do have to connect it to your phone and to the app, the Garmin Cross Street app, I believe it's called. I always call it Street Cross, but I think it is actually Cross Street. We've got 2 riding modes. We've got Street and Sport, as well as 2 custom modes. Yoink, I'm going to have that. And I think that's kind of enough, really. Don't think I want too much more than that. You've got ABS and traction, of course. You can switch off the traction. You've got different levels which you can set in your custom jib job in the YRC settings. We'll have a look at that when I stop. And this is a lovely little village called Hartley Whitney. Isn't this quintessentially British? Pretty British at this point. Everyone hanging around outside Costa getting their frappadappuccinos. Cruise control as standard, as I said, so let's test it out. You got the button here. Let's just get into 5th gear. And there we go, we're set. I think you have to be in 3rd gear and above to use it. And you have to be a minimum of 30 miles an hour, as far as I recall. Total Recall, great film. But yes, right, we're going to go over to Blackbush now, and I'm going to have a nice coffee. And then join me in a bit, and we can do another walk around of the bike, and I'll show you in depth the menu and just the aesthetics of the bike, and then I can sort of mention anything that I think I've forgotten. But this is essentially just a little intro vid to the channel, to this new long-termer that I've got. Big thank you to Yamaha for hooking me up with this. And as I said, this is the first Tracer 7 GT in the country that's on the road. They obviously have had a delivery of them, and those bikes are now going out to dealers and new owners, but yeah, I believe from what they tell me, this is the first one. So how lucky am I? Had my coffee. Now let's do a quick walk around of the Tracer 7 GT. Right, here she is. As you can see, she's up on the centre stand because that does come as standard. But yeah, there's the 690cc CP2 engine. Still the same 73 horses and 68 Newton meters of torque. There's your brand new Advix radial calipers. And then you've got, the wheels are actually not spun forged. Yamaha did test some forged wheels, but they actually found that it was a little bit too flighty. So they've got the same aesthetics as the spin forged wheels, but they are actually cast wheels. There's your new Kayaba fork up front, upside down fork, 130mm travel, new face of the Tracer 7, and this year they've actually kind of put the sort of main beam, they've sunk it back into the fairing a little bit, and I think that just looks a bit neater. And there's your new screen, which I think is a lot quieter. Handguards with integrated LED indicators. Let's have a quick look at the dash. There it is. And let's go look at themes. So we got 4 different themes. I don't know if you can see that there. It is quite bright here. Yeah, I thought 4 different themes. I actually quite like theme 1, so I'm going to keep that there. Some vehicle info. You've got trip meters, range, and a fuel tank. Fuel gauge, but you can change those to whatever you want. It's only got 42 miles on it, so it's new. What else can you do? Air temp, trip time, coolant temp. Yeah, but I like to have that like that. We've also got settings. Let's go into the YRC settings. So stability control is where you can turn off the traction control. That's like a global setting. But if you go into the YRC modes, these 2 are, you can't change these 2 because they are the preset modes, but you've got a custom mode, and you've got your power out of 3. I'll put that as 1. And then you've got your traction control setting, either 1 or 2. 1 being the least amount of intervention, 2 being more intervention. And that's it. That's all you've got for the... I think it looks like it's only 1 custom mode, not 2 actually. And you can also, using the My Ride app, you can import and export your settings. Probably not worth it on this bike, but there are other bikes like the Tracer 9 where there's a lot more settings and you can actually do it on the app and then just shove them over to the bike from your phone. Background. Ooh, I quite like a black background, so I'm going to leave that on there, but you've got an auto as well if you want to do that. There's your units, as well as the grip warmer settings. So, when you're riding and you want to have access to the grip warmers via the menu, these are the 3 settings you have access to. But as you can see here, you can actually set what each one does out of a maximum of 10. So you could have them all as 10. And interestingly, by changing the bottommost one, it actually changes the next one. So that's pretty clever. And like I said, this is the quick menu. And there's your 3 settings basically. 3 settings and off. Connect up to your music, turn by turn navigation. There's no real need for that because you've got that full Garmin navigation. But yes, there it is essentially. Like I said, new 18-litre fuel tank. It does jut out quite a bit, but there's nice sort of nice grips for your Legos. I like some of the detail. Like this is like a rubberized part here, so if you're wearing a zip that hasn't got wearing a jacket that hasn't got a zip protector, stops your tank from getting all scratched up. Clever thought. And all these sort of touch bits have got like a texture to them, I don't know if you can see that. And there's the seat, lots of gel inserts in there, so it is super comfy. And obviously there's your pillion seat, which is now separate. The side cases while we're at it. Super simple. There you go. It claims you can fit a full face helmet in these, however I can't fit my Shoei GT Air 3, which is a large. It just doesn't fit, it's just ever so slightly too big. But if you don't have a big bonce like me, and I think it's just the fact that the Shoei GT Air 3 has got a big shell, I've got other helmets which are smaller, which would probably fit. Some nice little details actually, like anthracite coloured bars with a nice little logo there. Let's just turn it on because I want to show you the rear light. It's quite cool. It's got like this 3D effect. Can you see that? Quite nifty. And also things like the Yamaha logo there. It's all raised. Very nice. Number plate hanger. We do have big number plates in the UK. Unfortunately, that's just what we have to use. There's your swing arm, which is 40mm longer than the previous generation. Revised exhaust. Does look a bit different. Let's go over to the other side. Grab handles for your passenger. These are actually made of a material that doesn't get cold, or hot. So if your passenger is having to hold on to these in the depths of winter, they're not going to freeze their hands, which is a nice little detail. There's your preload adjuster, which is nice. A few clicks there. Got some very nice graphics, part sticker, part sort of physical raised detail, which is nice. There's your hand guards. Yeah, all in all, it's just a lovely bike. But this is not an in-depth review or anything like that, but let's go for another ride. We can chat a little bit more about this bike before I leave you in peace. Right, okay, so the bike is on the centre stand. How easy is it to get off the stand? Absolute piece of cake. No issues at all. So yeah, first thoughts of the Tracer 7 GT for 2025. I think it's got a good raft of updates, especially all those electronic gizmos, the cruise control. That is a very welcome change. And I'm guessing that's going to now push other manufacturers to kind of include that on their middleweight touring bikes, which is only a good thing. Thank you, Yamaha, for being first to do it. Excellent stuff. You know, bigger tank, upside down forks, radial brakes, just sharpened the handling up enough, but it still feels quite nimble and agile, but I would say it feels much more stable than the previous bike. It feels a lot more akin to a Tracer 9 without all that extra weight, and obviously it hasn't got that extra power, so if you do still want that very fun CP3 engine, you've still got the option of a Tracer 9. It just feels like the Tracer 7 has grown up a bit. Wider bars, taller seat. I really like it. I've got to say, I'm a big fan. I really liked the previous one, so this was kind of obvious, wasn't it? Obviously the proof is in the pudding, as they say somewhere. I don't know where they say that, but they do, allegedly. And, you know, I've got this for 4 months, hopefully longer though. And we'll see. We'll see how we get on with it. But I will be doing a lot of touring, commuting, all that jazz. But so far, all the changes are positive. Any negatives at this point? Well, I would have, if I'm being really picky, I would have liked a little bit more power, but I understand why Yamaha haven't done it. One is its cost and complexity to do it right now. Two is if you up the power of this, then they might have to up the power of the Tracer 9, which I do think will happen in the future. But I kind of understand that right now, right here, right now, they are just updating kind of the main things. Power was never really the main, I won't say issue with this bike, but it's just good that they've updated the braking, the suspension, all real world stuff that will make a difference. And comfort, my goodness, the comfort is so much better. Like even now I can just feel the potential of this bike for touring is so flipping high. I'm a little bit excited actually at how good this bike is. I think how good it will be at touring, and I cannot wait to strap some, well, I don't even need to strap anything on it really. I will stick my Lone Rider bag on the back though. But yeah, fill those panniers up and yeah, head off to Europe. I think it's going to be an awesome bike. I think this is an awesome real world sporty tourer. And actually, you know, if you're not obsessed with power figures and numbers, or if you just want to step down from a bigger bike, if you've spent, you know, years on a big BMW GS or something, and you want something that can still do the big miles in comfort, I think this is going to be an excellent bike. As I said, time will tell, but I believe that it's going to be great. But, you know, subscribe to the channel and you will see more stuff in the future with the Tracer 7 GT. And now that we're stuck in the lunchtime traffic, I think now is probably a great time to end the video. So hopefully this has been a good first little look at, oh, hello, my next bike. Oh, Rob! Rob's here. Yes, anyway, I'm just like that dog from Up, aren't I? Squirrel! Right, I will leave the video there. There'll be lots more with the Tracer 7 GT in the future, so don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out. Thank you so much for watching. If you do go out to 500, if you do go out today, do ride safely, but remember to have fun, of course, otherwise, what's the point? Until next time, you take care. Peace. I'm out of here to have some fun. Bye.